We are on location at the Cocoa Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited in Sugarnas. We're very happy to be on Mocha Seochan Road, and we are talking about all things chocolate, and we're very happy to be join the chair of the Cocoa Development Company, Mrs. Jacqueline Rollins. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you for this opportunity for the Cocoa Development Company to share with the national community some things that are happening and things that will be happening as we move forward to develop this industry.
I think the nicest place to start is ask about what is the status of the cocoa industry in Trinidad and Tobago?
I can give you this answer in one word to say that the industry is in a state of change. You know, after operating for 52 years, where the government was the sole authority responsible for buying and selling beans, setting the price, we have now come to the point where we are operating in a free market environment, where private sector is now taking on some of the responsibilities that the government originally had responsibility for. Okay? We are no longer focusing only on the sale of beans, but rather on developing an industry along the entire value chain. This company, CDC, was set up as the vehicle to facilitate that change. We have proceeded to take on board all of the issues required for this change by one. We started by having a census, seeking to ascertain what's the status of the industry in Trinidad. And so we would have learned things about the number of farmers involved, you know, the amount of land under cocoa, what is abandoned, etc. We would have also done an international market review to determine what our buyers were thinking about us. And as a result of that, we, over the last 3 years, started to do certain things. For example, we got the farmers, about 800 of them, into clusters, geographical clusters, so that we could train them, we can get them to the point where they can develop cooperatives, where they can become business entities, where they would be implementing things like total quality management. Further, we would have looked and assisted the value-added producers, because our responsibility as a company moves from assisting or ensuring that there is increased production and productivity in a sustained manner, that there is improved quality of our beans, that there is a vibrant, viable agro, or rather value-added sector. We also seek to do that by working with our strategic partners so that there will be there would be no duplication of effort, that there would be an efficient use of the scarce resources that this country has. And as a result, that is the approach that we have been taking, so that when I said change at the beginning, it is that all of these things are taking place as we take the sector forward. We are not only selling beans to the traditional markets through brokers, but we are also now selling to niche markets, higher price value markets. And we have trained some farmers, we call them micro-lot farmers, fermenters, so that their beans would be of such a quality that they can demand this higher price. And also the local market, we find that their use of cocoa beans, that has increased over the last 5 years from using just 7% of the production to now 14% of the production. 14% last in 2019 amounted to about 59 metric tons, which is a significant improvement. So those are some of the changes that are taking place in the sector.
You spoke about change. One thing that has inspired a great deal of change is the COVID-19 pandemic. So how has that change from the 52 to over the last 3 been impacted by the pandemic and responses to the pandemic?
Certainly, the COVID pandemic has affected the cocoa industry internationally like it has done to many other sectors. There has been a slowing down in the demand of premium chocolates, particularly in our main markets like the United States and Europe. In addition to the slowing down of this demand, what has occurred, therefore, is our exporters, their ability to sell, having been affected, resulted in their inability to purchase beans, all the beans, from our farmers. In addition, we have found that even locally, because locally we was beginning to have an increased demand and use of local cocoa. There has been a change in the consumption patterns because people have to keep their funds for the normal necessities of life. So these are some of the things that occurred. What did we do to assist? So we did not want to lose the crop. Some farmers were just leaving it. So one of the things we did, we intervened, and we were able to assist in transportation and getting some of the beans from the far-flung estates. In so doing, we would have assisted about 300 farmers by bringing their beans in. We also arranged sales, especially for some of the micro-lot persons who have this high-quality beans. We were able to assist there. And then we assisted in terms of storage facility, so that although this year we would not have been able to get all of the harvest, but we were able to save a good bit of it. With respect, and that's really with respect to the crop itself. With respect to the value-added part of the industry, they were significantly affected by the restrictions in terms of gatherings and their ability to promote and so on. So what, again, did we do for them? The CDC assisted them in online promotion because, you know, they would have been going and doing ads in the aisles of the supermarket and the malls and so on. So we did some online promotion using our cocoa destination guide and therefore assisted them in that way. In addition to that, we worked with the Food Chemistry and Drugs Division, and we were able to bring some of these producers up to the point whereby they were able to sell some of their product to NAMDEFCO, more for cocoa beverages, because NAMDEFCO, working with the Ministry of Social and Community Development, will develop providing hampers, food hampers for persons in need. And hence, we were able to bring some of our producers up to that stage where they could supply. And in so doing, they got a market. And my recent learnings is that they have been so excited and happy about that they're asking the marketing manager, when else? What's the next stage? You know, so that is how we have been able to assist the sector during this period.
So we are speaking with Mrs. Jacqueline Rawlins. Stay with us. We return with so much more. Welcome back. We are speaking with Chair of the Cocoa Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, Mrs. Jacqueline Rawlins. And we've gotten an overview of the lay of the land as it pertains to the cocoa industry in Trinidad and Tobago, impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, and ways that you would have mitigated some of those negative impacts. Now, we're getting into the new fiscal. Give me an overview of the past fiscal and some of the achievements that the company would be proud of.
One of the first things that I would want to see is that in this last fiscal year, we started to use a certification mark. This certification mark was registered with the Intellectual Property Office since in 2018. But for the first time this last period, we began to use it. This mark is really to let all and sundry know that it is a quality product that you are in fact getting. This product tells the international buyers, and it allows us to be able to ask for the premium prices. You may have noticed that the Angostura bitters, if you look at that unique bottle, you will see CDC's certification mark. They were one of the, well, actually they're the first organization, company to use it. And we are already getting inquiries internationally about this mark and what it means. The second thing is that to support that certification mark, we introduced a total quality management system. We have started to train our farmers in good agricultural practices, right? About 500 or more of them were trained during that last period. And so we are now getting to the stage of improved quality, because we don't want to just have it in pockets, we want it across the country. And with this improved quality now, it's also going to be taking us to the point of dealing with traceability and certification. These are some of the requirements of the international market. People want to know where this bean is coming from, what's the history and all of that, and that's where we are at. And that's what we did during this last year. A third thing that we are proud that we did is that we were able to get business opportunities for our microlots, those persons who they're doing small volumes but very high quality product. And we were able to get markets for them. So we're really happy about that. Another thing we did during this fiscal year was to work with our strategic partners, being our line ministry, Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, as well as Cocoa Research Center, to deal with something called cadmium. Cadmium is the European Union. They have put regulations in place at the beginning of 2019, where products, whether it is the raw bean, dry bean, or the products derived chocolate or otherwise, must not contain above a certain level of cadmium. And in this general area, the Latin American area, you do have cadmium in the soil. So we, over that last year, we would have examined about 175 farms. We have been able, through the research, to ascertain that if you do things like lime, you put lime into the soil, or certain types of fertilizers. So we worked, first of all, we worked with the strategic partners, we did this study. We have been able to identify some of the ways to mitigate this problem. We demonstrated to the farmers, and we are now continuing on a wider level. We were able to work with some of the fertilizer company to come up with what is the appropriate fertilizer mix that would reduce the amount of cadmium that's coming in. So then another thing that we're proud of is that we have gone forward to plan to initiate the National Cocoa Awards. This is the second edition. The first time we did it is in 2019, and you may be aware that we had winners. And we had two of them, and we're going back. This country so far has been the top winner since the inception of this award, international award function. The issue, however, is even though we were winning, you were having pockets of good quality beans and good flavor. What we are seeking to do is to have it more consistent and uniform across the country. And then another thing that we did this last fiscal is that we have developed a national production forecast system, which would allow us to forecast production and try to match it with the market, which was something that was not being done before. And hence, those would be the highlights of our performance in the last fiscal period that ended September 2019 that I really want to share.
Just before I ask about company direction, how does the interface between microlots and CDC take place? And I'm thinking about in terms of quality control.
Okay. We have officers called cocoa development officers. Their role is, in fact, first of all, the country is divided. We have these clusters, as I said, 18, and our officers are in different parts of the countries. Their role is to they go and they train persons. They have farm school training. They monitor to ensure that they are, in fact, implementing what they were exposed to. And coming out of that, and we have the total quality management system that I spoke about was developed not just by CDC. It was CDC, a committee using the ISO international standards with our Trinidad Bureau standards, and hence we have to ensure that these microlots persons are in fact satisfying those requirements. They can then be certified that what they're doing is in fact in accordance with these standards. As a matter of fact, certain producers or buyers of the beans are demanding to see that these persons have been trained. So that's the link that we have. We train them, we monitor them, and we getting them to the point of marketing. But remember, I said at the very beginning, free market. So they are going on their own in a little while. We're helping them to that point where they can take charge of everything, but we're putting them in the right state.
And finally, Mrs. Rollins, I'd like an overall idea of the company focus going forward into this fiscal.
Okay. This company is going to continue to focus on increased production and improved productivity and ensure the promotion of value-added products, and we're going to be doing so in a sustainable manner. We are going to continue to focus on quality, quality, quality for all aspects and all parts of the industry. We are going to also continue to ensure that there is a recognition of the TTT brand, which means the whole marketing works with it, as well as the certification marks, which will create a certain demand for this country. We are going to work on an enabling environment. Remember, I said we work with our strategic partners, and that will address things like research, credit. We actually just worked with ADB in developing a line of credit. And our small farmers who have had to do other crops in between, we are continuing to work with them because they contribute to food security by growing food crops with their cocoa. So that's our general direction as we continue forward.
All right, so we want to thank you so much, Mrs. Rollins. Jacqueline Rollins, Chair of the Cocoa Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited. And we want to thank you for tuning in to this program. I'm BK Ronsta. On behalf of the entire team, have a good night.